Good evening to everyone who was out there watching. I want to first thank all of my subscribers and my viewers for subscribing and viewing to my channel. Thank you so much. I would also like to continue to encourage everyone to like, share, and subscribe to this channel and anybody else's channel. I think tonight's video is definitely going to be called Love on Your Children While You Can. Love on your children while you can. And I'll tell you why I say that. I first would like to send my condolences out to that family who recently just lost their little girl in New York. She was ejected from a vehicle yesterday. I believe it was yesterday, or may have been a few days ago. And this was while her father was trying to get away from a cop that was harassing them and spraying them with pepper mace during a routine stop. And we'll get into a little bit more of that, but my thoughts and prayers go out to that family. We ourselves have recently lost someone and a child to us as well, but also an adult, and I'll get into that a little bit too, more so that we can understand, because I always give a scenario or just something about my own life so that you know that I've experienced it as well. Personally, I have never experienced a child being dead or anything, and I am very thankful that I am a proud father of my own biological child and also my stepdaughter, who I helped and had a chance to be a part of her life since she was 10 years old. She is now 22. She'll be 23 this year. So I thank God for that as well. When I think of our generation versus the new generation, I think the only thing that is different is they are very boisterous, and they are very outgoing, just a little bit more than what we were growing up. Whereas they do not hold anything in. They're going to tell you how they feel right then and there, and then you'll have to deal with it based off or according to their age group. I always say that you have to bring yourself down to a child's level before before you're able to understand them. And some people or parents do not understand that. You know, they think that you can raise a child based off of your experience or what your upbringing was. And what you have to understand is every child is different. Okay? I myself, I try to implement and input some of the things that I learned growing up, but I also take some experiences from what's going on right now to give to my child. And I do believe in being honest with my daughter. I do believe in being straight up, and that's with both of them. I don't believe in, not telling them the truth about what's going on in society or even what's going on with mom and dad. If you don't let them know, then how are they going to learn? Not only that, if you don't let them know, then how are they going to be able to handle the issue in hand? So I believe in being honest with my daughter. It's a little bit different with my stepdaughter because I'm not biologically, so sometimes that can affect the way that I communicate with her. Growing up with her for the past 12 years of her life, mom was she was kind of lenient in saying, okay, this is dad somewhat. But there were some instances where it was like, okay, this is my child type of thing. And I don't believe in being that way. When you're raising a child, they are yours. So I say that to say this, that when the other parent do that, it gives a child a leeway to say, okay, if something goes wrong, I don't have to listen to the other parent. I can always go back to the other parent who is biologically mine. I believe there should be a balance there, because then it brings in respect. And you have to have that respect at all times. No, the person may not biologically be your mom or your dad, but that respect should be there. So it kind of takes away from that, which is one of the things that I see going on right now, even in our home. Not to put it out there too much, even with my sister and her new fiance and my nephew, they are readjusting. So I see some things that, I always have to pull my sister to the side and say, hey, look, I think that you should do it this way. We were raised in a family where our parents, actually I could say my mom had kids prior to. So my dad was basically in a ready-made family already. And then when the last three, which is myself, my twin, and my little sister, came along, it was a little bit more balanced. And my dad didn't make any differences with any of us. So it made it that much easier for the discipline to be reprimanded, both sides. My mom did not. She was not one-sided. She allowed my dad to be the man and step in when those times were needed. And I appreciate that. I was just growing up and seeing that. I definitely think that that's how it's supposed to be. So if you're a parent and you're doing that, kind of stop it right now, because what you're showing the child is, hey, it's okay to be disrespectful to the other person, and you can come to me if there's a problem. That's a wrong way of parenting. So let me get back to loving on your kids while you can. And the reason why I say while you can is because they're going to grow up, okay? And whether they grow up to be someone good, someone great, or someone special, they're still going to grow up, okay? And at that point in time of them growing into that age of 18, 21, and so forth, the only thing you can do is give them guidance. After a certain time, you can give them advice, but you're not going to be able to guide so much, and only because they are older, and they have a lot more to do, just like we did. So you have to allow them to learn on their own at some point in time. So we may lose some part of them, but we can still, and we're still able to still have that parenting if we raise them the right way. I always told you that I give an example of my own situation. Well, recently, and it was just last week, we got a phone call. Well, actually earlier this week, because we're actually going into the following week. We got a phone call from my sister, and before she and her husband married, he had a child, and at that time the young man was 3 years old when my sister came into his life. And they were dating for years, and then finally they decided to marry. So she helped raise this little boy. He became a nephew to us, and his name is Javon Brittenham. I don't know if you guys have been, you catch up with some of the worldly news and everything, but this happened in Norfolk, Virginia, and he was shot and killed, and he lost his life to some violent situations that's going on there. And I guess now we're starting to hear that there's a lot of turf wars and stuff like that going on down there. But this young man, he had just about everything that he needed to succeed in the world. And I'll get back to that part as well. What happened was his mom and dad, they decided to part ways when he was just a little baby. And dad, who was in the military, decided to take custody of his child. So grandmom, they're from Philadelphia, so grandmom decided to help out with that because dad's always on the road and he's always stationed in other places. So while he was probably off the road or off of one of his tours, that's when he met my sister, and they got very well acquainted, and they developed a relationship, and they got married. But even during the time of them dating, she was helping out with this young man. So mom, I think mom was in the picture just because he went with his cousin. He went with mom every summer, and then he would come back home to dad. So she was in his life, but she wasn't in his life throughout the year. It was only every summer. So I guess the big talk was, you graduate, you go with your mom. He actually displayed that type of behavior throughout the years as he was growing, that he always wanted to be with his mom after graduation. And we all talked to him. I think what it was he just was very defiant, not to his father, but to his father's discipline. Some of us growing up, we don't like to, the authority that our parents actually give us. I know that, in my later teen years, I was very defiant to my father, but it was for other reasons. It was probably because, I felt like, hey, you're loving on my brother more than me, and we're twins. So, those were some of the things that, I probably was defiant with. Not in so much of a disrespectful way, because I still knew that was dad, and I had to follow his rules in his house. The new age, they feel like they can be very boisterous, to the point where it's like, I'm going to do it my way no matter what you say. So he wanted to go with mom. Right after graduation, I believe the last time I seen him physically was right after my dad's funeral, and that was 5 years ago. And we spoke to him then at the house, and when I say we, I mean all of us, just to find out what his plan was, because that following June he would be graduating, and he was very adamant that he was going to be with his mom. When he got to his mom's after graduation, very quickly he found out that the grass wasn't always greener on the other side, But he decided to stick it out. He stuck it out. He met a woman down there, and they began dating, and he had his first child, which was a little boy that's named after him. And then he also, I think about maybe a few months ago, he had his second child, which is a little girl. And I think things basically was going okay. We got to find ourselves. As men, it's hard for us to find ourselves, such as, I want to say, more than it is as a woman, than it is a woman, because women, they grow up faster than us. Little girls grow up faster than boys, and I think that it takes us a while to say, okay, this is where we belong, this is what we need to do, and this is how we have to do it. And being that young, he died. I think they pronounced him dead on his birthday, if I'm not mistaken. He was 23 years old. So being that young, and not knowing what life really had to offer, he jumped in the scene, you know. When I was 23, I got married, you know, and not really knowing how to adapt to that type of environment. I only had a chance to see it from mom and dad's perspective, but dealing with it on my own, I really didn't know what I was doing, and that's the point I'm making. So he did all of that, and then now we get this phone call that, you know, and with my sister screaming and hollering because this is her baby, you know. She helped raise this child, and she just screaming and hollering, and he's gone. And I mean, my condolences go out to my sister and her husband, definitely, for raising that child, and because that's their child, you know. And even his mother, grandmother, for a while was the grandmother's only child, and then my sister and her husband had a child 5 years ago together. So that has to be hard. That has to be hard. And one of the things I said to my brother-in-law, and this is a military man, to you know, to see him go through those emotions, or to hear it over the phone. I said to him, don't you stress about even thinking that you were not a good father. You gave him the tools that he needed, and even if he decided to go astray or to go another way, that is not your fault. You are a great father, you know. And I think that as parents, when things like this happen, and I can't speak from experience, but just by seeing it, we are harder on ourselves, because we think that, hey, you know, we didn't raise these children to go that way, or to be all that they can be. Don't stress yourself. You did everything that you could do to get that child to that point. They made their own decision as an adult, and he made his decision, you know. Should it have happened that way? Should the story have ended that way? No. We never want our children to go before us. What we have to remember is God has a special plan that is already implemented before we even start the process. It's already thought out. And that child was a part of a plan. And we won't know until God is ready to reveal it to us. So he left some children behind. He left his parents behind, his mom, his dad, and his stepmother. Like I said, and then he has brothers on his mother's side, and stuff like that. So, like I said, my hat is tipped out for them. My love, my support. I am definitely going to miss that young man. He admired us so well. And even my friend, we call him Mookie, but his name is Joseph McMillan, and he admired him so well. And I will definitely miss Javon. He was an awesome nephew. He respected us as such, and I will miss him. But it brings me to my point of loving on your kids while you can. Even when they get older, you still have to set that platform that I'm mom and I'm dad, that I'm here for you whenever you need me. At some point in time, he felt like he couldn't come to his father, and maybe that could have been prevented. I don't know. I don't know what type of situation it was, but even if he was in any type of trouble, and he felt like he couldn't tell his dad or whatever, I just feel like, when your child can't come to you, that's a problem. I want my daughters, both of them, if my oldest, if she decides that she wants to confide in me, but especially my baby girl, because you know that blood is running through those veins, and I want her to know that she can always come to me no matter what it is and tell me anything. Until she gets a husband, I'm her protector, so I definitely want her to do that. All right. And then it brings me to that story about that family. The way I was listening was it was a routine stop in New York City, or somewhere in New York, and the father pulled the car over, and I guess there was a back and forth with the father and the officer. And at some point in time, the father said, well, hey, can I have your superior officer? Now, what I'm learning is if we have a routine stop and we're feeling uncomfortable, we can ask for a supervising officer that is on call at that point in time to come in or to be called. And they cannot refuse that. So that's what I'm learning. And I think that the cop was refusing to do that. He then started spraying pepper spray mace inside of the vehicle where there was his wife present and two of his other kids, a 12-year-old and an 11-year-old. The 11-year-old was a girl, and to get away and protect his family, he started to drive away, and the cop started ramming up against the car from the back, and somehow the little girl was ejected from the vehicle because of that. My heart, thoughts, and prayers go out to that family. I can only imagine how they're feeling, because we as American citizens, we expect for the officers to protect us. Like, what are the times coming to when you don't feel safe with calling the police anymore? I know myself, I've had cops called on me where it could have gotten real bad, and I used to ask people, like, why do you feel that threatened to call the police on me? Like, that's kind of crazy, but for whatever reason, it's just a shame that the society is going where it's like you have to know when to call the police and when not to call them. And I can only imagine how those parents are feeling to actually be, or to bear witness to their child being murdered like that. That was cruelty. And like I said, my heart goes out to that family, and I don't know what to say. And that's why I say that we have to love on our babies, because death comes even for young. It has no timeline, and it has no age limit. 11, 23 years old. Keep in mind, 11 and 23 years old. Those are young ages. Even for me, I'm 38 years old. Like, that would be crazy if I died at 38. So I thank God for every year, but not only that, I want my child to bury me. I want both of those girls to get together and plan my funeral. You know what I mean? We buried both of our parents. 5 kids in our family. I have 4 siblings. And we got together and we buried both of my parents. We did it the way it was supposed to be. Now, my dad, I think that it was a fair age. It wasn't a respectable age that we wanted to see him go. I felt like he could have been here a little longer. And my mom, it was a respectful age. I definitely wanted her to be around a little longer, but like I said, death has no age. And we have to really, really love on our kids enough to get them to that age where they can say, okay, I got this. When you hear your kids say, I got this, that means that they're okay. You know, it wasn't until we said that to my dad where he was able to close his eyes. We let him know we're okay. We're fine. We were definitely all in a respectful age group where the baby at that time was 30 years old. You know, the rest of us are, you know, in our early 30s. Keisha was in her middle 30s. Cliff, I believe he was, 40s. So, you know, to have that was a blessing. You know, I think a respectful age, if a parent had to go or to even, you know, leave life, if God were willing, I think a respectful age for a child to actually say, I got this, is 35. Honestly, that's when they should have it together enough where they know what they need to do and where they need to go to be successful. I want my daughters to be better than I ever was, and I'm very well educated. I thank God for that. I've actually had a good career in driving. I have several certifications and everything, but I want them to go beyond that. I want to see some millionaires. I want them to be able to give back to their communities. I want them to be able to give back to their families. I want them to have as many kids as I had. I want them to have successful marriages, to know that they can have successful marriages. Just because daddy had 2 marriages fail does not mean that they cannot have a good marriage because of that. And we have to set that bar so that they can be successful. Let them know these things. Let them know that it's okay to be married and not be out here fornicating at some point in their life. You know, they're going to experience things that we've probably experienced. They're going to do things that we probably did already, but it's our job as the parents to let them know it's okay to make those mistakes as long as you learn from those lessons. Love on your babies. I say fathers, love on your sons, because they're going to grow up to be us. I tell my twin brother that all the time because he has 3 boys. Love on your sons. Fathers and you know, mothers, love on your sons, but fathers, love on your daughters as much as you possibly can. There are some very bad vultures out here, and we know because we're men. You know, they prey on innocent little girls. They prey on innocent young women. You know what I mean? So we have to show them that we are the first male in their life. Just yesterday, I had the opportunity to do a daddy-daughter dance with my daughter, and preparing for that over a month was very rewarding, to have that time with her and to share that time not with just her but other fathers just like myself. Within that dance group, there are several fathers that is going through what I'm going through with separation and divorce. The child should not see what you're going through with mom or dad. Okay? They don't need to see that. They need to see that they have a family and they are able to have their family just as well as anybody else. You know, they should still have their family, and it should not be messed up because mom or dad or anything. For me, I always tell people this, I was forced into this situation. Had I had my way, I would still be married. I probably would have wanted to add another addition to the family. That wasn't my choice. I did not do it. So I always tell my daughter that, like, this wasn't me. I desired to be married. That's why I got married. So your kids should not see those transgressions. All they need to see is good, positive things around them, and they'll continue to be positive. Love on these babies, especially this next generation, because they are so lost. I mean, they implement everything that they see on the internet, and that's what they're growing and learning from. We have to be the parents to take that away sometimes. Go take them on a camping trip. Take them away from the city or just that lifestyle. Start taking some of those tablets away. I mean, and phones. They really depend on these phones, man. I took my daughters away from her a couple of times, and let me tell you, she snapped out. And I had to let her know, this is not your life. You are not going to be snapping on me because I am disciplining you. So that's what we need to do as parents. She asked me, and she's only 7 years old, well, what did your mom and dad do? Did they take your phone away? We didn't have a cell phone. We didn't even know what a cell phone was. We seen beepers. I remember having like 2 or 3 beepers when they were out. We had pay phones, things like that. So they need to know this so that they know exactly what to do when they are our age or when they have kids. You have to be able to show them just a little bit how you grew up and what you had to go through to get to where you are. But at the same time, you have to continue to love on them. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to go. Even when your child comes home with bad grades, see, my parents, they loved on us throughout our transgression. So I was able to actually feel like, okay, I'm still somebody. When they come home with that bad grade, yeah, they need to be disciplined, but they also need to know that you're going to help them through this. You're going to get through this, and the next time around, they're going to have that B or that A that you want to see them have. So this is why I say, throughout anything, just continue to love on them. Because they're misunderstood. Their generation is very much misunderstood, and I try to understand them. They're not misunderstood. They just want to be seen. They want to be heard. Give them that platform to be seen and heard, where you give them that attention, so they won't have to go out here looking for it in other places, on the internet or in the streets or other places. Okay? That's what we have to do as parents. And like I said, for those parents who have lost, I tip my hat off to you. And my heart, thoughts, and prayers go into you. That family in New York, same thing. Hat, heart, thoughts, and prayers. And I need for you guys to get me to 1,000. Please like, share, and subscribe. Continue to do that so that I can get to 1,000 and I can start doing videos very often. This takes a lot of work just to upload. So continue to like, share, and subscribe. And also hit that notification button so that everybody else can share as well. I love you guys. Until next time, please, please keep me in prayer, and I'll keep you in prayer. Peace.